are coming to you live from $1 Million Studios. Your boys, Chris Speez,
a.k.a. the White Wizard.
And the benchmark of professional wrestling, Mr. Silky Baines.
That would make me the Black Harry Potter.
The Black Harry Potter. Speez and the Benchmark Show on a Thursday night, January 17th, 2019. I got to get used to saying 2019. I still want to call it 2018. Glad to have you with us here on Periscope and over on the YouTubes. And a special shout out to all of you listening to us after the fact on the podcast. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify.
All that shit.
All that shit. Anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, you can catch Speez and the Benchmark Show. And we got a brand new segment for everybody here tonight.
Yes, we do.
The Silky Baines Benchmark Power Rankings. The Benchmark Power Rankings premiere tonight here on the program. Silky's going to give you his top 5 WWE wrestlers of the... Now, is it of the week or is it like a cumulative thing?
It's of the week.
It's of the week. So top 5 WWE superstars of the week. Who Silky Baines was most impressed with and who you should be keeping an eye on.
It may not always be just WWE, but as of right now, that's the only thing really going.
What's up, White Wizard and the Black Harry Potter, says Juanito.
What's going on, Juanito?
Glad to have you with us. And we got callers calling in already. Of course, you can get in on the phone lines if you like. 832-937-4559 is the phone number.
832-93-SILKY.
832-93-SILKY. Man, we had an amazing crowd in here on Monday.
Yes, we did.
And part of that was due to the fact that you guys are awesome about sharing the program. So if you're in Periscope right now, or if you're in the Twitter app, I was going to say application, but I'll just cut it off at app. Do us a favor, retweet the program. Share it with all your followers. Get a big crowd in here like we did the other day.
Get the tables.
It was fantastic. We enjoyed it thoroughly. And shout out to you, Get the Tables. Glad to have you with us. Don't forget that you can hop on over to the Get the Tables podcast immediately following our program. So check out Anthony and the Bizarre One and the gang over there. Always a good time with those guys. We're going to talk not only the Benchmark Power Rankings here tonight, but also it's just an absurd number of rumors about guys who are in the doghouse in WWE, guys who are leaving WWE, guys getting called up from NXT.
Guys asking for their release.
All kinds of shit. So we're going to try to sift through some of the garbage and get down in the fucking muck with all the dirt sheets and dig through all the snot and pus and mud and shit and gunk and clean it all up, shine it up real nice and stick it. We're not going to do that. We're going to clean it all up.
What the fuck
and
are
we're
you
going to tell people
about?
exactly what's going on. Because, people got to be able to sift through all the shit. Somebody's got to do it for them. That's going to be us, man. We're putting our gloves on and we're getting down in it today. We're going to tell you what to believe and what to call bullshit on. So, all that to come and more here on the Speez and the Benchmark Show. Glad to have you all with us. Thank you for the super hearts over there. Get the tables. We appreciate that. Somebody else dropped super hearts there as well. I can't tell from where I'm at.
Anthony and Day of Rusev.
Day of Rusev. Glad to have you with us. Good sir. All right then. So, shall we start with the Benchmark Power Rankings, or should we dive right into the? I got. It's funny story. We'll start with this. I got tagged not once but twice on Twitter from a guy who basically put out a tweet saying that it was regarding the revival. And both times, it was Cooking with Mafia and Mac Diesel. Both guys said to me, Speez, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And basically what it was is the revival come to WWE, crush the New Day, and have, and are on their way to being awesome. Then they have an injury that derails them for a couple months. Then they have another injury that derails them for like 11 more months. And all their momentum is completely gone. And the internet goes apeshit and says, WWE is completely misusing the revival. And they were like, what do you think about that, Speez? And I was like, you know what? You can't really argue with that. I mean, for as much bitching as everybody does about WWE burying the revival and not using them properly, let's not forget that one of them was injured for close to a year almost.
Yeah.
That's a long fucking time.
Yeah.
So it's not as if they've just been completely...
So the burial was warranted, is what you're saying.
Not so much that it was a burial, but,
it's a burial.
Guys can't fucking wrestle if they're not
healthy.
healthy.
Lucha House Party.
Well, that was later.
That's a burial. Anyway.
That was later, unfortunately. But they're starting to dig their way out of it. We got phone callers galore already. So, like I said, if you want to get in, jump in now. Make sure to hit that share button and share the program. We would appreciate that. Let's get to the phone calls, the phone lines here before we get started with the benchmark power rankings here. So holding longest here on the phone line. What's up, caller? You're on the Speez and the Benchmark show.
It's Sasha Reigns.
Of course, it's Sasha Reigns. How are you, Sasha Reigns?
I'm doing good.
So do you have any rumors and innuendo to spout for us here on the program, since we're going to be talking about all the rumors and such?
It was random. Robin was the one who wanted to face Sasha.
It was
That's why they're putting that together.
So Ronda was the one that wanted to face Sasha.
I see. Well, yeah. I mean, Ronda has been saying that, Sasha Banks is awesome and we love Sasha Banks and so on and so forth. And I love Sasha Banks and it's going to be great, which I'm always a big fan of. Wrestlers kissing each other's asses before they have a match.
Also, I have some news on Seth Rollins.
Okay.
He's opening up a coffee shop.
It sounded like you ran your nails over the chalkboard there towards the end of that comment. Say that one more time.
Seth Rollins is opening a coffee shop.
No clue.
I'm still lost. Do you have us on speakerphone again? You can't put us on speakerphone, Sasha Reigns. We can't understand what you're saying.
Seth Rollins is opening up a coffee shop.
Oh, see, it's so much clearer when you talk into the
go.
phone there. That's all we got to do there. He's opening up a coffee shop. What is he? Is he done with his wrestling career? He's getting into the coffee shop business?
Hey.
No, but he's still going to be wrestling. He's working with somebody.
Okay, then.
I mean, they have interests. I mean, Cody has the cigar thing.
Yeah.
American Rebel Cigars. So people have outside businesses.
No doubt. And you can't go wrong with a coffee shop. Well, aside from the fact you're going to get stomped by Starbucks at some point. But
yeah. And I don't drink coffee, so don't care.
That's okay.
That's about it.
That's it. Anything else for us, Sasha Reigns?
There's 3 possible opponents for Rollins at the Mania.
Okay, 3 possible opponents for Rollins at Mania. Let's have them.
Taker, like as an Undertaker.
Okay, Undertaker. Who else?
Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre.
That would be good.
And, of course, Dean Ambrose.
And, of course, Dean Ambrose. All right, then. Well, we'll add that to our list of rumors and innuendo to talk about this evening, Sasha Reigns. So thank you very much for the phone call, ma'am. We appreciate it, as always, keeping us abreast of what's going on. Have a good night of what's going on with Seth Rollins and the like. So Undertaker, Drew McIntyre, and Dean Ambrose is who Sasha Reigns
would not care about that first match. Do not want to see it. But the other two, I'm not really sold on the Dean one either, just because they kind of squandered that feud after the epic turn, and now I just don't see a need for that match.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of people
McIntyre
a lot of people are talking about Brock Lesnar in case Brock doesn't lose to the Demon coming up at Royal Rumble. But we shall see. We'll see how it all plays out. All right, let's get to our other phone call here. We got another phone caller waiting for us. What's up, caller? You're on with Speez and Benchmark.
Hello. What do you think about the content that is getting better with WWE, like with Mandy Rose and Alexa Bliss this past week?
Now, that was one thing that we were going to talk about here. Who is this that's calling us, by the way? Is that you, Chris Arad?
Yeah.
What's up, Chris? It's good to have you with us, man.
I didn't too much care for the Alexa Bliss one. I mean, she's fine, and I'll take any excuse to look at her like that. But I felt like it didn't fit in the thing with the Attitude Era is even when they had those segments, it really fit into the scheme of the show. This seemed like gratuitous, like let's give a suggestive Alexa Bliss. Everyone's gonna love that. So, but with the Mandy Rose, I thought that was a pretty well done segment, except for the fact that it kind of did make Naomi look weak.
Yeah,
she had the upper hand, and she got an ass whoop. So you let that bitch talk to your man like that, send him a rose and a room key, and then you let that bitch whoop your ass? Like,
Thank you, Young Raph and Peck and Rod for the shares. We appreciate that. I don't have a big problem with it. Here's the thing. I saw online earlier today that the Alexa Bliss segment in particular has just an absurd amount of views on YouTube.
Yes.
And if you jump over to Impact Wrestling, I don't know if you heard about this, but on Impact, and thank you for the super hearts, Young Raph, on Impact, there was a segment where Scarlett Bordeaux basically gave a lap dance to Scott Steiner, apparently. Mm-hmm. The YouTube views on that are through the fucking roof. So, surprise, surprise.
Sex sells.
You put hot women in sexy situations and people want to watch the shit. So, I mean, I don't have a huge problem with it. I get in this day and age people do. But fucking hell, man, you're trying to get views. You're trying to get people to watch the show.
But, I mean, the Alexa one, though, it's just so out of place. And it wasn't like, I don't know. It was just, it felt gratuitous for the sake of, like, I'm trying shock and awe just for the sake of shock and awe. Like, there was no reason for it.
Somebody pointed out
at least with the Mandy Rose, there was, like, that was a story. You know what I mean?
Somebody pointed out that the previous week, Alexa had bitched about the fact that her coffee was late.
Yeah.
And so the guy was getting there early, basically to say, all right, your coffee's here early this week.
That's
and he
not
happened
a
to walk
story.
in on her.
That's not a story.
Well, sure it is.
No, that's not a story.
It's absolutely
What's the guy's
a story.
name?
I don't give a shit what the guy's name is. It doesn't matter what the guy's name is.
That's not a good story. Like with the Mandy
I
Rose,
didn't say
there
it
are
was a good
people.
story. I said it was a story.
With Mandy Rose, there's people we know, so we can follow that.
We know who Alexa Bliss is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that it's some random jabroni back there.
Yeah, it was just gratuitous.
What else you got for us, Chris Surratt? What's going on?
The other thing, I'm looking forward to Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre winning the Royal Rumble.
Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre winning the Royal Rumble. All right, then. Two good picks.
Yeah.
We shall see. Yeah. We shall see. Well, Chris, thanks for the call, buddy. We always appreciate it, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay. Peace out.
You too, buddy. Thanks so much. 832-937-4559 is the phone number if you want to get in with us.
832-93-SILKY.
Yes, Brooke, we did hear Sasha Reigns pointing out to us that Seth was opening the coffee shop. When no one answers the door, you don't walk in, says Bob Aruski. Yeah, that's true. That's another thing that was totally odd about it.
Yeah, it was just a terrible segment, except for the fact we got to see Alexa Bliss pseudo-topless.
And as Dr. Huge pointed out, and Alistair Fiend brings up here, the fact that Naomi was, on this covert mission wearing a bright neon fucking jumpsuit. I
didn't understand that, what she was wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, if you're going to have her get her ass whooped like that, you should have had fucking Sonya Deville somewhere hiding. Because at some point, Mandy would have had to know that this could go sideways and if she's that diabolical to come up with this plan to drive a wedge just for driving a wedge's sake, you would think this bitch would have a contingency plan so that if shit goes sideways, she's covered.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the only thing missing from that. Like, if you're going to have Naomi take a little bit of a beating on that segment, then you should have had it where, as soon as Naomi gets the upper hand, here comes Sonya out of nowhere. They kind of beat her down. Jimmy comes to get them out, and then he helps her up. I mean, because I'm sorry, I might have to divorce. Like, that's how you fighting? We might have my wife and I. My wife and I might.
Jimmy's
need
showing up at a fucking hotel room that.
The whole
some
thing
other chick gave him.
The whole thing to that was obviously he told his wife. That's why she was there. Now I don't understand the going in. Like I would have just.
Jody says that segment sucked, and I'm done.
I don't think it really sucked, but I mean it could have been better.
Yeah, Sonya's the good friend apparently.
Yeah, why does Mandy hate Naomi?
Yeah, I'm not real clear on the backstory on that one either.
I'm not familiar. It's just she just didn't like her, and that was how she decided she was going to get at her.
Because Naomi will never be as hot as Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose is happy to tell you that. That's basically what the storyline was.
Yeah, I guess.
That's something
I was
along
gonna say
those
she's
lines.
black. I don't know, but then
Brooke says they need to get Sonya Deville away from Mandy Rose. Sonya Deville's she's one of those that seems to be on the verge of moving on to bigger and better things and being more of a.
Well, I mean, I wasn't that big of Sonya Deville fan in NXT. Like, I thought when they moved her up, I think I said on the show, sorry, I saw Alistair Fiends. But I thought that they moved her up too early. Like, I don't think she was quite ready for that. But she's grown a lot, and so has Mandy. So they both have, grown. It's just sad or stayed with the whole bringing back this, apparently, the Attitude Era about the women.
Yeah.
Is Mandy's going to rise to the top because Mandy is way hotter than Sonya Not to say Sonya's not a gorgeous woman, but
which she is.
She is, but
when you're blonde bombshell Mandy Rose,
fake boobs, I'm assuming
she's gonna get the airtime. Yeah, no
and
question.
Ass, like it's
very well
Black
paid
man's
for and put
kryptonite.
together.
Not Dana Brooke.
Not Dana Brooke quality.
Yeah, I mean, I'm never texting you bad bitch alert.
Bitch alert for the the Sonya Deville or Mandy Rose figure. What's up, Warren Hayes? And speaking of which, shame on us for not mentioning this earlier in the show. We'll be sure to mention it on Monday to remind everybody. But next weekend, of course, is the Royal Rumble. And on Saturday, we've got an NXT takeover. And you know what that means here on the Speez and the Benchmark show. It means our good buddy, Mr. Warren Hayes, will be here to preview NXT takeover. So that is 1 week from today, January 24th. Mr. Warren Hayes of the Mr. Warren Hayes show will be back for the third time.
Damn. Now,
on the program,
Brooke is saying that she saw in an article, she talked about a black woman's hair. So kind of, I said she was
okay,
black.
yeah, maybe so. Jody says Mandy Rose isn't that hot.
Jody would be incorrect. Love you to death, Jody. You are incorrect.
Yeah, and another thing, Get the Tables mentions this. You know what I think of the McMahon offspring on this program. If you've watched this for any time at all, it's particularly Stephanie, but Shane's right up there as well. The fact that we had that fucking 30-minute Shane O'Mac birthday masturbation celebration was just fucking ridiculous.
Complete with the money shot in the face.
The money shot in the face of Sheamus there. And we scrapped the match that was actually announced by WWE on their Twitter account earlier in the day, that Carmella was supposed to take on Sonya Deville. And here's some you talk about it all the time, Silky. Mm-hmm. People want fresh faces. There you go. 2 fresh faces, a matchup you're not really seeing. 2 women that you don't get to see a whole lot of in singles action, and certainly not in singles action against each other. It was a match a lot of people were looking forward to, and that one just got scrapped on Tuesday. So that was kind of a bummer. All right, let's move along here. Yes, Warren says he can't wait to agree with Silky on everything.
Word.
Except for Silky's basketball skills, because Warren knows Silky took the beat down.
Silky did not take no beat down.
33-16 is a beat down. That's more than getting doubled up.
That's not factual.
Yeah, Miz kissing his ass for 25 minutes. We didn't need that. It was ridiculous. So, and thank you for sharing the program, Warren Hayes. We appreciate that. So let's move right along here. We got a lot of rumors to get into, a lot of bullshit being talked, and we got to clear this up because it's just getting a little ridiculous. But before we do that, our very first segment here, we don't have the music and the graphics set up yet because Silky basically texted me this afternoon and said, hey, I got an idea. The Benchmark Power Rankings.
There we go.
We're starting it tonight. Let's do it. So I said, fucking hey, right, let's do it. So, but it takes a little more time to get the graphics together.
Yeah,
so
you have one job, Chris.
Yeah, because I have one job. Exactly. All right, so this week's Benchmark Power Rankings.
We need like a horn or something.
Top 5 wrestlers. Yeah,
we're just going to play the Negro Damas music.
We're going to play the... Okay, well, just because it's this week. Here you go. The Benchmark Power Rankings for the week of... Let's see, today's the 17th...
For this week,
for the week of January 13th, 2019. And we're going to start it on a Sunday, so that if we have a pay-per-view on a Sunday, you can include the results from that pay-per-view in your power rankings for the week. See? I came up with that shit. Thank you, Mr. I Have One Job.
Yeah.
That's it. There we go. All right. So
decided on that, but okay.
Backwards from number 5, we're going to start with number 5 in the Benchmark Power Rankings. Silky Baines, who do we have?
I have Andrade.
You have Andrade, no longer Andrade Cien Almas.
Yeah, what is it with WWE? It's just like, do they think fans just can't remember more than one name? And so I just don't understand it. But hey, Andrade, fucking phenomenal match. Again, pinning Rey Mysterio. Now, albeit not clean, but not necessarily that dirty. I mean, Selena Vega got kind of involved, but it was more of the distraction, and he hit him with the hammer-like DDT from the top rope, hanging on the top.
Which was pretty sweet.
Yeah, which was sweet. So I'm giving Andrade for 2 wins over Rey Mysterio, and he's just been held phenomenal showing after phenomenal showing. So he's going number 5 on my list this week.
Number 5 on the Benchmark Power Rankings, Andrade. Jeffrey Cross trying to say rankings don't mean anything. Yeah, normal rankings don't mean anything. This is not normal fucking rankings. This is the Benchmark Power Rankings, Jeffrey Cross.
This is just my opinion of what's good. I don't care what you think.
You tell us whether you disagree or
Yeah,
agree, and let us know. But
that's the great thing about these rankings is that it inspires the conversation. If you agree, you don't agree, you can let us know, and we can have this discussion.
this is true. All right. Number 4 on the Benchmark Power Rankings
is Lashley. I mean,
Lashley,
the new Intercontinental Champion.
Brand new Intercontinental Champion. I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Yeah, I kind of thought it might happen because I felt like I said last time on when we talked about it on the show, is that I didn't think that Dean needed that title anymore. And Seth really doesn't need it, especially with all the rumors that they're about to strap the rocket to him and, send him towards the Universal title. So the one who needed it in that match was Lashley. And although I don't agree with how much Leo Rush got involved, but bottom line is he beat 2 former champions, former world champions, former Intercontinental champions to capture his first Intercontinental championship. So I had to put him at number 4.
There you go. Lashley, number 4 in the Benchmark Power Rankings. Get the Tables agrees about number 5, Andrade and Rey, another great match. Mr. Warren Hayes says they'll shrink down Andrade Cien Almas to just Andrade, but they'll name a guy Dominic Dijakovic because that's easy to remember. Plus, it just rolls right off the tongue. Yeah, because Donovan Dijak is not quite simple enough. So, okay, number 3 on the Benchmark Power Rankings. Who do we got?
We have the face that runs the place, the champ that ran the camp, AJ Styles.
Styles, number 3 on the Benchmark Power Rankings. Now, what the hell did AJ Styles do this week?
Well, he just had I like the promo he did and the fire, and then got into the big fight that with Daniel Bryan.
That's right.
Out in the concourse, and ended up putting through the table of the food and stuff. So I also found it hilarious. Daniel Bryan on the ground with cheese and mustard on his fucking pants.
Yes.
But
indeed.
I mean, I like it was a callback to Daniel Bryan doing the promo by the merch stand, calling them sheep. So I really I enjoyed the promo and the fight and this new, this new aggression and intensity with AJ Styles.
So a new and improved. Not quite the new Daniel Bryan, new AJ Styles, but you like the intensity that you're seeing from AJ Styles, which he was asked for, or he was asked to showcase by Vince McMahon a couple of weeks back. So he appears to be doing so. All right, then. Well, that lands him number 3 on the Benchmark Power Rankings. Let's move on to number 2.
The man, Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch at number 2. Tell us why you got Becky Lynch at number 2.
Strong promo. Like the match which she had with Peyton Royce, I believe.
Yes, it was Peyton Royce.
Yeah, it was Peyton Royce. And just I just love the attitude she's having right now. Normally people are kind of they act like they're scared of Asuka. And she's getting right up in her face and letting her know she's not scared. She's going to win is her whole thing. And, I mean, she's literally the hottest thing in wrestling. Not as much now. But, I mean, she still got that residual heat or, fire from when she was on top a few months ago.
This is true. All right. So you got Becky Lynch at number 2, 2 spots ahead of the guy that won the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm really not that invested in Lashley. You know what I mean?
I got you. DX says he heard WWE wasn't happy with that promo. The AJ Styles promo.
I liked it.
I liked it too. I thought it was good. It served its purpose.
Only thing is, I would have done it cutting straight to a shot of him at the concourse instead of him walking out.
Which was very odd.
Yeah, and then walking through the crowd and all that.
Because he kind of interrupted the segment before him again.
Yeah, which was the Becky Lynch, I think.
Yeah,
after
WWE's
Becky and Asuka had just wrestled Billie Kay and won, and they were kind of standing off facing each other, and then the music plays, and they just get out, and he walks around the ring and then walks up. So that was the only thing I would change about it, but I love the promo.
Yeah, WWE's doing some of that shit now where they have overlapping segments sometimes, so it's a little bit odd. All right, here we go, folks. Number 1, the very first number 1 on the Benchmark Power Rankings.
And it has to go to Finn Balor.
It's got to go to Finn Balor.
It's got to. It was a big victory. I mean, not only that, he had to wrestle Jinder Mahal first, and then work the whole injury gimmick, and then come back and beat McIntyre, Cena, and Corbin to get the number 1 contendership and go to SummerSlam to face Lesnar. Now, you can't argue that. as far as that was the biggest thing in WWE this week is Finn Balor, at least in my opinion, is that Finn Balor is now going to SummerSlam to get his first real shot. I mean, I know he had the match against Roman Reigns, which was more impromptu, like Roman's like, I want to give you a shot.
Yeah.
But this is like his first real sniff at the Universal title picture since he relinquished it.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, there's no question. And again, we talked about this on Monday. It's a big deal when a guy wins the Intercontinental title, and he's not even the biggest story on Monday Night Raw. It was Finn Balor all the way. I think it was great. Brooks says, thank you. Yes, he should be number 1 on the power rankings. So there you go. Just to recap, the first ever benchmark power rankings. Number 5,
Andrade.
Number 4,
Lashley.
Number 3,
AJ.
Number 2,
Becky.
And number 1.
I don't have an A, so Finn.
Yeah, we're not going to go Finn A, it would have been silly. There you have it, folks. The very first ever, there it is, benchmark power rankings for the week of January 12th, 2019. So we'll do this on Thursdays, and you guys can agree or disagree. But
you can agree, disagree. Let me know. There's someone that I'm not seeing or you think should be in there that I didn't mention. Go ahead and let us know.
Hit us up and let us know for sure. All right. So let's talk about some of these rumors, because now that AEW is a thing, everybody and their mother wants to talk about who's going to leave WWE for All Elite Wrestling. And we keep hearing about it, But here in the last few days, it's really gotten completely out of control. There's more rumors than ever, it seems like, of people who are unhappy and are leaving and so on and so forth. And we got to talk about the Revival, because everybody wants to hear my take on the Revival. And, oh, did you hear the Revival were pissed and blah, 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 blah. So let's talk about the Revival. Here's the story. And this came from Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful.com, which our friend Mr. Warren Hayes is a part of Fightful.com, FightfulSelect.com, I believe. So check those guys out. Here's the story as I understand it. And Warren, if you're still with us on the YouTubes here, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But Sean Ross Sapp basically said that he had heard that the Revival were unhappy backstage on Monday night after Raw, and that WWE feared or was afraid, I can't remember the exact wording, but something along the lines of they were afraid or they feared that the Revival are done with WWE, and that they either outright asked for their release, which Sapp said he could not confirm, or that they're just going to write out their contract till whenever it's over, and then they're going to be done with it after that. Now, let me break this down as I understand it. Some guy in WWE, we don't know who, said the Revival got pissed off about what we don't know and caused someone else within WWE, again, we don't know who, to be concerned that the Revival maybe or maybe not asked for their release, or maybe just perhaps are going to write out the rest of their contract before they leave. Now tell me, does anything about that scream the Revival are leaving WWE? No fucking way. I'll answer my own question. No fucking... The fact that that's even a story is completely absurd. I'm not shitting on Fightful.com or Sean Ross Sapp or anything else. I know it's what a lot of these guys do. They have sources within these companies, and their sources pass along information and so on and so forth. We don't know who was pissed. We don't know if anybody was pissed to begin with. We don't know who in WWE this is that's supposedly afraid that the Revival are done. So what the fuck? What are we even talking about? What's you tell me? What's the story here?
I mean, I think more of the story is that, you know, I've read also that there's a lot of leaks happening right now. But I read too. I mean, and it's all believable. So I don't see, it's not that far-fetched. Now, I don't know about the whole, you know, they're scared or something like that, but I totally believe if they have any pride in what they do, which they seem to have very much, one of the few tag teams that have pride about tag team wrestling, why wouldn't they want their release? I mean, they're not, I mean, are they even on the fucking, they may be on the pre-show, but when you're literally one of the best tag teams in the company, and you're not even on the Royal Rumble because, you know, they got to put Shane and Miz getting a tag title match on the
Which
show.
is completely absurd.
So why wouldn't they be mad? I mean, it's all stuff stemming from shit that could happen. I mean, we don't know. There's a whole reason no one names sources because, hell, you name your source, that source could get let go, and then you don't have a fucking source.
I totally get I totally get that. And,
See,
and
even Warren said, even Meltzer's reporting on that.
And Jeffrey Cross said the same thing. Then the other dirt sheets run with it, and people believe it. And it's not that. Look, I'm sure there are people. Again, I don't know who these sources are, so I don't know how credible they are. I mean, I have no idea how credible they are, but there's so many cryptic things about it.
I mean,
they're pissed off. What are they pissed off about?
Let's see. The bad booking of them over the past couple of years.
So this just came to a head on Monday night after they won a match on Monday Night Raw against the Lucha House Party, who they'd gotten fucked over by before. So on Monday night, they decided after all this time to be pissed off.
And maybe we just don't know. Maybe they got told that they're not going to be on the Royal Rumble card. They're not getting another tag title match. We don't know all the specifics, so it's not out of the question that they could be upset, is all I'm saying.
No, I don't think it's out of the question. But again, when there's just too many things that you have to buy into for this whole thing to piece together, in my opinion.
Not really.
They were mad, or maybe they weren't mad.
I think you're focusing too much of the verbiage. I mean, they could have been upset. Bottom line is the rumors are that they may be asking for their release so they can go to AEW. And that's the bottom line of it. And they might want that because, again, AEW seems to be probably a better place since they seem their whole thing is like they're trying to bring wrestling back to the golden age where what it used to be. Tag teams were tag team. Singles were singles. Stars were stars. And obviously they're not going to get made into stars with the WWE.
No, well, that remains to be seen. They haven't been up to this point. No, because we talked about it earlier with that guy that tweeted it out earlier. They dealt with major injuries for a long period of time, and it's very likely. Shit, we could start a rumor right now that we have a source within WWE, and I can't tell you who it is, but Finn Balor's not happy. And he's not happy because, you know what? He feels like he should have had a Universal title shot a long time ago, and he's just now getting it. And not only is he just now getting it, but he had to win not one, but 2 matches on Monday Night Raw just to get his Universal title shot. And so he's thinking, fuck WWE, I'm going to AEW. That right there, what I just said, has just as much validity as this Revival story.
Not really.
It does. It absolutely does.
Because, again, I think you're focused too much on the fact that of the circumstance. You know what I mean? Like,
what's different about what I just said about Finn Balor and what they're saying about the Revival?
Is the fact that you haven't won. Revival.
There is no difference.
No, Revival has been very vocal on social media, and it could be part of work. It could be part of the shoot about how complaining about the tag team wrestling state and all that. How they are the best wrestlers, but tag team, but they're not getting a shot. So there's one. There's your thing. When have you seen Finn Balor say anything other than fucking smiling?
Well, of course.
Exactly. See, there's the difference.
Finn Balor doesn't ever tweet about wrestling.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. It's more believable, the Revival thing, just because you can go through and you can look at their social media and see their grievances that they air out.
My argument to that would be Finn Balor never tweets about wrestling.
Well,
so, of course, you're not going to see Finn Balor tweeting about being pissed off because he never tweets about wrestling.
But that's the thing. That's what I'm trying to point out. That's what makes the Revival story more believable than what you said, is because you, with the Finn Balor, you may have just chose the wrong thing. I think you went too far to prove your point.
It's just, it's the first name that came to mind because he was number 1 on the Benchmark Power Rankings. First ever Benchmark Power Rankings, by the way. Thank you.
But I think that with Finn Balor, there's no pattern to this. There's no pattern. Like, there's a pattern you can see in how they've been used. You can see their social media posts, with the Revival that says these guys could be unhappy. So when you hear that there's a source that says they are unhappy, then it's like, well, I totally understand it.
See, and
it's
I look
easier
at it,
to. I'm not saying you should buy in wholeheartedly to it. I'm just saying don't be quick to throw it out just because of this, and this without,
I'm picking on this particular story because I'm a Revival guy and everybody wanted to know what I thought about the Revival. I told you I get tagged all over Twitter today, people asking about it, so on and so forth. I'm picking the Revival, but it's more just my overall distaste with how things like this get reported. And I understand for a lot of people, and I don't include myself in this group, so maybe I'm in the minority here. For a lot of people, this is what's fun about being a wrestling fan, is speculating about shit like this. To me, I look at it and I go, there's nothing in that at all that makes me believe for 1 second that any of that shit is true, other than a guy says that he has a source that he believes, and we don't know. And Warren says it. You don't have any fucking sources, Speez. And that's right. I don't know if Sean Ross Sapp has fucking sources either. I would believe that he does, based on the shit that he's gotten right in the past.
And that's all.
But my point is this.
And that's...
And other people are saying, of course, they're not going to expose their source. I'm not asking the guy to expose his source. And again, his name keeps coming up, and I'm not meaning to pick on Sean Ross Sapp. It's just dirt sheets in general and wrestling websites in general tend to do this. It's the same shit with the NBA or, any professional sport that you want to think about. When people are always talking about, well, my sources tell me that LeBron's going to sign with so-and-so, and he never signs with that fucking team. He signs with somebody else completely. It's just speculation. And so what happens is it gains steam online, and all of a sudden my fucking feed is blowing up with, man, when's the Young Bucks Revival match going to happen? I'm a motherfucker. What are you talking about? When's the Young Bucks Revival match going to happen?
But, I mean, the key thing you said there is that you yourself have looked at Sean Ross Sapp's news that he's broke, and he's gotten a lot right.
He has gotten stuff right in the past.
His sources.
He's gotten stuff right in the past.
If he has gotten it right, then, I mean, that affords you a little bit of leeway to believe, or not totally believe, but take it as credible. That's how all rumors are.
Is this the same source that, gave him the information from before, or is this a different one?
But, I mean, the point is, he's had sources that have given him information that have turned out to be correct. Am I right?
The one that I'm thinking about, let me answer your question. The one that I'm thinking about is he was the one that broke the story that Becky Lynch was not going to be at Survivor Series because of the injury, and he was the one that put that out there first. That's the story that I saw that he got right before Meltzer and anybody else. And so I don't know where he got that information from, but he got it right.
But point being is, if it's coming from a source that you generally believe, then it's something that you can take seriously. Like, if he's gotten stuff right before,
that's the one I know that he's got it right.
Yeah. So I love how you just changed your shit, though.
No, I'm saying he's gotten one thing right.
Oh, now he's gotten one thing. Now you said he's gotten stuff right before. You're making it seem like there was other multiple things.
No,
and
you interpreted it as saying multiple things.
You said he's got other stuff right in the past. If he had only gotten the one thing, it's like there was this one story he got right in the past. But no, you made it, I think, purposely ambiguous that it was multiple things. When you say multiple stuff, I think
you're getting too hung up on the wording here, Sophie, as you just said 6 seconds ago.
I think you're being you. I think you are just being you and changing your shit when I start calling you on how stupid
Bobby
it is.
Mr. Bobby the Brain Heenan here, who changes his fucking pitch 5 minutes later.
I own that shit, though.
I'm telling you that he got, that's the one that I know. I'm trying not to bury the guy because
You've already buried, and we've got Warren on there. You started. Good job, Chris.
Stop it.
Now we're gonna get emails. Next thing you know, we're gonna get tweets from Warren saying, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do your show. You're buried." Yeah.
Let's go back to the comments here that we
Warren, the views of Chris Speezak are fucking stupid and do not reflect Silky Baines. You know that.
My point is this: calm the fuck down, wrestling Twitter, and let's stop talking about guys like they're already gone just because one guy with one source that we don't fucking know about a situation that may have happened or may not have happened, and already we got the fucking Revival leaving WWE. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is calm the fuck down. Don't forget the biggest obstacle that the Revival have to overcome, says Litmantis, is how boring they are.
I like that.
Jeffrey Cross's sources tell him it's all BS to get everybody talking about AEW. Same with Maria and Mike Kanellis. Yes, I did hear that as well, that they have allegedly asked for their release. Get the Table say, have the Revival been booked to your liking? Look, no. But again, based on the tweet that we talked about earlier on in the show where the guy said, look, Revival got a great push when they came in. They came in and annihilated the New Day, and it looked like they had big things ahead of them.
I wouldn't say they annihilated the New Day.
Okay, well, they beat the New Day.
Yeah.
Who had just come off of the longest tag team championship reign in history. And then they dealt with a whole shit ton of injuries, and they're just now back and doing it. I mean, when did we see the Revival come back full on 100% from their injuries?
I didn't know they were injured, honestly, until like the last time they've made mention that, Dash, I think, was injured. But they just stopped using them as far as I knew.
Silky dropped the dead weight. Let's start the Warren and Silky show. You can fucking have him, Warren. Jesus Christ. There's the... Oh, what does it say? There's other companies expect AEW. They can go... okay, I'm trying to read this in...
there's other companies expect... I'm assuming that it's supposed to be except AEW they can go. Or
exactly.
I don't know.
Mantis, I'm not going to read your take on Sean Ross Sapp. Actually, it's Ryan Satin, apparently, says DX has started the rumor. I don't know. And Bob Aruski says, yeah, WWE's filled with people who rat on them, which is true. There's a lot of people that want to tell some dirt sheet, hey, guess what? Guess what I overheard? Guess what I overheard? And what the fuck, man? Who knows? I think we all know who's to blame for this Revival stuff. The fucking Lucha House Party, says Litmantis, and that's why we're always happy to have Litmantis here on the program, because he tells it like it actually is. See, Jeffrey Cross is with me. He knows what's up. It takes all the fun out of it if you laugh off my troll posts about the Revival. Sorry, I can't help it. Brooke says, who cares about Mike and Maria? They shouldn't be in WWE in the first place. Okay, well, we shall see. Oh, Warren even says you can call it the Silky and Warren show.
Bam.
You can put your name first like you wanted. So
yeah, like it should have been.
Boy, he's really kissing ass here, Warren Hayes. Holy cow.
Matter of fact, I think that should be the graphic for when he's on the show. Just make one that says Silky and Warren.
There you go. And we'll just have the split screen come up and cut me off, and then Warren will be over on my side of the fucking screen. All right, so now that we've beaten the dead horse with the Revival, point being, they're not fucking going anywhere, and nothing about what was reported suggests otherwise, other than, oh man, I heard somebody talking and they heard that they might be mad and maybe not. And blah, blah, blah.
I hope they are, because if they are,
anywhere.
I am going to make you eat those words.
They're not going anywhere. Not anytime soon, anyway. Let's move on to Lars Sullivan. Now, the word, we get kind of...
so now we're going to quote word from who?
Say what?
Word from who? You were like, the word on Lars Sullivan, the word from who?
The word from, I believe, it was Brian Last on the Jim Cornette podcast. If I'm not mistaken. Did you hear the same bit? You listen to Jim Cornette as well.
Yeah.
Basically, Brian Last, and there was another report that I read earlier in the week that said there were conflicting reports on why Lars Sullivan missed Monday Night Raw. And I didn't get to read the article because I got a phone call right after that and I couldn't read it. But we all know, apparently, Lars Sullivan is suffering from panic attacks or something along those lines. And as a result, he missed what was supposed to be his debut on Monday Night Raw. So there are conflicting reports going around there just from what I'm seeing on Twitter. Some people suggesting that Vince McMahon, similarly to what he did with the Revival about not being altogether happy that they were missing dates because of the fact that they were injured. You can't help it if you get injured. Fucking everybody gets injured, but that's neither here nor there. So the word around the campfire was that perhaps, maybe, Vince McMahon is not happy with Lars Sullivan because of the fact that he missed his debut on Monday Night Raw, whatever the case may be. Now, there are other stories out there that saying WWE is being very supportive of Lars Sullivan, that they're doing everything they can to help him get back on track, so on and so forth. I got one last thing to throw in here, but I'm going to ask you first, what do you think about the rumor that Vince McMahon may be pissed with Lars Sullivan because of missing Monday Night Raw?
I don't buy it.
Why don't you buy it?
Because if it's something like that, a serious injury or like a mental thing, an illness, there's no way when has WWE in this past, done something like that? Like, they're gonna do everything to get the person better. They've set that standard. So I don't buy like him.
Who in the past have they done that with?
All Waltman. All the guys that got like hooked on like drugs and couldn't perform and things like that for whatever reason.
I mean, I'm not asking to try to put you out.
No.
I don't ask questions to try to fuck you up on purpose like you do to me. I just ask because I'm curious to know.
Yeah. So, I mean, WWE will take care of him if it's a serious mental issue that he's having or with the pain and stuff. They're going to make sure they get him taken care of first. And
McManus brings this up, and that was one of the other things that I read, that the heat from Vince was not necessarily towards Lars Sullivan, but more towards Triple H, because apparently, as Litmantis says, Lars Sullivan is kind of Triple H's boy. Again, going by what you hear. Jamie Noble's another one that Warren Hayes brings up as far as WWE helping out in the past.
Steve Regal, too, yeah.
And you look at Lars Sullivan allegedly being Triple H's boy, and Vince maybe wasn't too happy with Triple H because Lars Sullivan wasn't able to keep his commitments and so on and so forth. Again, I'm with Silky. I call bullshit on this one as well. I don't think there's anything going on with Lars Sullivan in terms of the company being upset with him. And the last thing I was going to bring up is earlier today, WWE's Twitter account put out a story that says, look for these stars to have a huge 2019. And Lacey Evans was on there, and I believe Andrade was on there. And over on the far right of the graphic there is Lars Sullivan. So all this shit that I was reading about, Lars has got some heat and blah, 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 and he might not be, things might not be looking so well. WWE just put a fucking article out saying that they're looking for him to have a huge 2019. So don't believe the hype on Lars Sullivan, and he's in the doghouse, and Vince is done with him, and blah, 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 blah. I don't buy that shit happening for a minute. And I'm glad you don't either. We agree for once. Hunter's taking the blame for it, says Babaruski. But we shall see. All right. The other one that I heard about was Dolph Ziggler. And apparently this is... I mean, we've heard rumors of Dolph Ziggler leaving before. I read on one website saying that, I believe this was Wrestling Inc., that Dolph Ziggler had actually turned down a job as an agent backstage to be done working in ring and to be an agent backstage. And perhaps that Dolph could be out the door and headed for AEW as soon as the end of this month, because some people are saying that his contract ends January 31st. Some people are saying he doesn't even have a contract in place, period, end of story. He's just there working. What do you think of the likelihood that Dolph Ziggler moves along?
I think that there is that's one I would say, I won't say like right now. I'm going to hold off till maybe after WrestleMania to see this, because I think that with the WWE and Dolph, like, that's the one thing, and he's been very vocal about, like, Dolph Ziggler, as long as he's been in the company, has never had a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, and that's something he really wants. And with AEW popping up and all the buzz around that, maybe this is the year he actually get it, because he could leverage that, actually. And if he doesn't, he definitely knows he has a place to go, that he will be pushed to the moon and become just as big a star, even bigger than he is now.
Help me out with this, those of you that remember, but didn't Dolph just sign an extension not too long ago?
I think he signed from what I remember, is that the contract he signed was a very loose one that, allows
he didn't
him,
have to work a lot of dates.
Yeah, he doesn't have to work a lot of dates, and he has a lot more control, not creative, but he has a lot more control than he did before. So I don't think it was a long-term one, though. I think he may have gotten on the Brock the per performance type of deal.
He
signed on for X amount of performances.
Yeah, because I remember it was since we've started doing the show, and we've only been doing the show for about 6 months. It was since we've started doing the show that I remember reading that Ziggler had signed an extension, and then it made life a little easier on him in terms of dates and everything like that. If Dolph goes to AEW, I'm all in, says Texas Legends Brian. We shall see. Jeffrey Cross says it was reported but never confirmed, and Dolph denied it, says Babaruski. Okay. Again, another rumor. The thing that got me worked up was the whole thing about the revival, and it's just, I saw it, and I was with you. The very first thing that I thought was, oh shit, maybe they really are pissed off about what's going on. Let me take a look at this article. And I started reading a little more carefully because that's part of the problem. And I'm going to go on my fucking old man rant here. Back in my day, blah, blah, blah. But look, you got to read beyond the fucking headlines of the stories here, people. And when you start digging a little deeper and you start looking at what's actually being quote unquote reported, a lot of times it's like, well, one guy heard from another guy who heard that this might have happened, but we're not exactly sure. And we think this might happen, but again, we'll see what happens. What the fuck? It's crazy. He even came out and said, you never know if I did sign or not, says Jeffrey Cross about Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, that was the thing. There's speculation as to whether or not he even signed an extension. So we shall see. Another thing that got brought up, and this is not necessarily due with rumors and so on and so forth, but one of the criticisms that I've heard of AEW, and again, this came from Brian Last, co-host of the Jim Cornette Experience, where somebody said, "Oh my God, this guy listens to Cornette." Paparuski. Me and Suki both listen to Cornette. He's funny as shit.
He's hilarious.
So whether or not you completely disagree with him, which I do on several things, it's hilarious to listen to him rant about things. So go start a team with Billy Gunn, father and son, says Paparuski. Okay, that could work maybe. Billy Gunn's still going strong, and he's going to be a part of AEW, which we heard
producer.
as well.
He's actually in San Antonio this weekend.
Excellent. What I was going to say about AEW, one of the criticisms that Brian Last said was that it's starting to seem like everything that we hear about AEW is essentially directly correlated to something that people don't like about WWE. That their mission statement is basically a series of promises to do things that don't happen in WWE. We're going to pay women the same. We're going to give insurance to our wrestlers. We're not going to have writers. We're going to keep that was the one that came out today. We're not going to have writers. The creative control is going to be with the wrestlers, and they're going to figure things out, so on and so forth. Things along those lines. And to Brian Last, he said it came across as disingenuous. That it came across as
he's always, and
we're just saying. And no, I'm with you. Let me finish this thought.
Mm-hmm.
He said it came across as a group of guys who are basically trying to draw attention to their new promotion, and the way that they're approaching that is by specifically pinpointing exact things that they're going to do that are anti-WWE or opposite WWE. So instead of, and maybe everything that they're going to do is completely different than WWE. I don't know. Has any of that struck you as disingenuous and sort of pandering to the fans by saying, oh, yeah, we're listening to you. We listen to what you have to say. We're going to do all the stuff that you want. Has it come across as disingenuous as far as you're concerned?
No, I mean, it's business. So if like, for example, if I start a coffee shop, bringing back the Seth Rollins thing, and I know better example, I started a chicken sandwich restaurant, just like Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
I know that one thing, people love Chick-fil-A, but they hate the fact that on Sundays they can't go get a sandwich because Chick-fil-A is always closed. So is it disingenuous? No, it's smart marketing that I would be like, well, I have just as good quality, if not better, and you know what? You can't get it on Sunday. You can come to my place and get a chicken sandwich whenever you want on Sunday as well. That's not being disingenuous. That's marketing.
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing. And
I'm just saying. But these things that there's more things that they're just targeting. So it's just smart marketing. I mean, if you know your business competition, especially if you've been inside of that system and you know what generally people don't like about that system, why the fuck would you do it in yours if you're starting your own company?
Totally agree.
So I don't see it as being disingenuous. I see it as a smart marketing move. Now let's see how they follow through. Like
that's where I was going to go next. Exactly.
Now, I mean, because the one thing I don't agree on, and it's going to sound worse, is the pay. Like, I believe that they needed to. They're trying to make it seem like everyone's going to make the same, but obviously there's going to be people like basically your top wrestlers, your top females, I guess, and this is where I'm taking when they say equal pay for women, is that the top female wrestlers are going to make something comparable or the same that the top male wrestlers. Because you can't have equal pay across the board, because then, you know, you don't pay your first match jobber the same thing you pay your main eventer.
That's exactly right.
So you can't say go a blanket statement, and I don't know about how much the women make in WWE versus the male counterparts, because, I mean, none of us really truly know that. I mean, obviously, no one's going to make like John Cena money because he's been doing it for so many years.
Or
He's
Brock
made
Lesnar money or something like that. Exactly.
You know, these guys are proven. So, no, Charlotte's not making, you know, John Cena or Brock Lesnar money, nor should she, because she has not had the time invested to become like a John Cena or a Brock Lesnar. So she shouldn't get that. But now, if I think she's making probably good for the females and probably comparable with a lot of the males.
And Warren says it's the same entry level pay, basically, is what they're saying there.
It's the same entry level. So basically, if I go to AEW, I'm going to make the same amount that someone else that's coming in with me.
The top guys and gals are going to get the same starting salary, is what Mr. Warren
that's
says.
Stupid, though. I think that's just my opinion. You never won. I don't think you should pay an issue publicly. That's just my opinion.
Because it's nobody's business.
Yeah,
number one.
I
don't understand why people. There's a lot of shit that
because people can find information on you real quick. How many times you see like on the Forbes list how much The Rock made? Not just back. They do these lists all the times of how much people made in the year.
Well, Forbes actually does a list of at least the top 10, the top 10 WWE salaries each year.
Yeah.
And they've started doing that the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, so I just don't, me personally, I don't like that. I don't think that you should even make that a thing, because someone's going to look in and then, you know, your pay should be comparable to what you bring in. I mean, that's how it's worked in wrestling. You can't reinvent the fucking wheel on some things, on most things, but especially on this issue. Even going back to the pioneer days, going back to pre-TV, it's you got paid for your pay was correlated to how many people
you drew.
Yeah.
What
like
the house
if I
was.
put you on a flyer, will that house sell out? If it does, you deserve this much pay.
That's right.
And now with these contracts and stuff, it's gotten real out of hand of like they've lost the art of that, like drawing.
Yeah, because you don't know who's valuable.
Exactly, because I mean I've been on several shows with guys from WWE, former WWE stars, and it's about the same amount of people there as when those WWE guys aren't on the show. But I mean, of course we know they're getting paid X amount of dollars because they're coming from WWE, they're making more than you. But, back in the old days, they wouldn't. They don't give a fuck if you were in the NWA. The people on the East Coast, like the WWF, doesn't give a fuck that you were a high talent in the NWA.
Exactly. If you're not drawing
them down, because they're different places. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Warren Hayes brings up the point, and this is what I was going to get back to. He says, but there is gender inequality in salary. That's why it's a thing. Women in the same position on the card as men are underpaid. And what people are saying now, and you can't really disagree with it, is that if you're going to promote women to the main event spots, if they're holding a main event spot on a pay-per-view, if they're holding a main event spot on Monday Night Raw, and so on and so forth, and you're not paying them what you're paying the men who are in main event spots on those same shows, then what the fuck? And that's basically what people are saying.
Which I say, I lean on are these women, even though they could be same spot of, how many people can they draw? Like, can I put them on?
See, but and I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just that's so hard to tell. That's so hard to tell because, take Hell in a Cell last year. Did people go to Hell in a Cell last year because it was the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match? Or did they go to Hell in a Cell?
Well, that wasn't the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match, but
last year, 2017, was it not?
I think it was 2016. But the
Hey, well, my point being, take that Hell in a Cell pay-per-view whenever it was.
Yeah.
Did people go to that pay-per-view because Charlotte and Sasha Banks were headlining and it was the first ever women's Hell in a Cell match? Or did they go because it was a WWE pay-per-view? Or did they go because of some other match that was on the card?
There's other metrics that, I mean, that's why they have like those merchandising and stuff like that. So there's other metrics to see who's bringing in. And you can just look in the crowd, like see how many Sasha shirts, see how many Charlotte shirts, see how much their stuff is moving at the merchandise. So there is ways to tell if this person is, now I believe, and I don't mean to be sexist because it was a great match, but I believe because of the fact that, you know, they were on this before the pay-per-view, but they're on this evolution of women's wrestling, that's why they gave them that main event spot. I mean, plain and simple. I mean, it was.
Well, there's no question that's why it was. Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, that's exactly why it was. And Warren brings up another point, and this is where I think they're getting it right. It's harder to make that distinction when you get up towards the top tier of the cards and so on and so forth. Like there was somebody brought up, and I didn't see it, but a big discussion about whether or not, well, in that case, should Ronda Rousey be paid the same as Brock Lesnar? Because they're both headliners and they're both champions in their divisions and blah, 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 blah. We don't have time to get into that right now. But the point is, you know, Warren brings up, you talk about the curtain jerkers, the people who come out at the very beginning, your low card people. There's no fucking reason that a low card female on the roster shouldn't be paid the same as a low card male on the roster. If they're both occupying the same talent, if they're both jobbing out to your Ronda Rouseys and your Charlotte Flairs or your Finn Balor's and your Seth Rollins, then why shouldn't they be paid the same? It's not like they're selling a shit ton of merch. It's not like they're, you know, moving a lot of views on YouTube and things like that. It's just they're there to do a very specific job and they're doing it. Now, whether or not they're male or female, if they're on the television program and they're doing the same work, why the fuck would they get the same pay? That's where a lot of people bring it up. So to put a bow on this whole thing about whether or not, you know, AEW is being disingenuous, I didn't get that impression either.
I don't either.
My only thing of it is, I think they have to tread very lightly here, and maybe they don't. Maybe they know, obviously they know far more about what's available, what resources they have available to them from the Khan family and so on and so forth. But if it were me, I would tread lightly in that if you're going to come out and say all this shit, you fucking better well deliver. I mean, you better deliver on it because people are going to hold you to that.
Yeah.
And the wrestlers are going to hold you to that. The public is definitely going to hold you to that because the second that it comes out that they're not paying them equally or they got writers backstage or whatever the fuck, Twitter's going to blow up and all the people who want to see AEW fail are going to go ape shit. And somebody already mentioned here in the chat room that there's a lot of people that want to see WWE fail. And that's why they're back on this thing. My thing of it is, man, can you just fucking like wrestling?
Yeah.
You know, like who gives a shit? There's going to be guys I am absolutely 100% going to watch fucking Pac on AEW because I love that guy. I think he's great. He's not for everybody, but I fucking love that guy. I hate the fact that WWE jerked him around, but I'm not gonna quit watching WWE as a result. You know, it's just watch what you like. If you don't like it, fuck it. Don't worry about it. Michael Jr. says, who do y'all think will be the best challenger to their champ, Sasha or Becky?
Becky.
Probably Becky.
I mean, well, are we talking about which match is going to be better? I mean, because, I mean, if you're going by metrics, I guess you'd have to say Sasha. She's, you know, 4-time women's champ.
Yeah.
Like, so.
I think they're both going to be really good matches, to be honest with you. Yeah. I trust Becky and Asuka more so than I trust Ronda and Sasha, just because Ronda's clearly the greenest out of all of them.
Yeah.
So when you got two solid veterans in there like Asuka and Becky, they're probably going to give you a good match. Some good conversation here tonight, folks. We appreciate it, even when we disagree, even when Silky disagrees with me, which he likes to do quite often.
Yeah, because you're quite often wrong, but go ahead.
As Silky says. Respects to Ronda, but Brock fights bigger talents. Well, maybe so. It's another conversation that we can continue for another day, but we want to say thank you for everybody joining us here tonight again on Periscope and over on YouTube. Shout out to all you guys who left super hearts on the program. That would be Lit Mantis, Get the Tables, Who else we got there, Silky?
Dave Rusev, Young Reezy, and Mac Diesel.
Thank you guys for the Super Hearts. Again, you can leave the Super Hearts over on Periscope if you want to support the program, or you can hit us up on the tip jar, tinyurl.com/SB tip jar. And remember, our good pal, Silky's good pal, Mr. Warren Hayes,
Boom.
will be with us next Thursday to preview NXT TakeOver. Are we calling it NXT TakeOver Phoenix?
I guess. I don't think there's a big name, so it's going to be TakeOver Phoenix.
Okay, TakeOver Phoenix. So Mr. Warren Hayes will be back on the, what are we calling it? The Silky and Warren Show with Chris, in parentheses, is what they wanted to call it there. And, of course, you can catch us on Monday night following Monday Night Raw, right here on Periscope and over on the YouTubes. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, if you'll do us a solid and subscribe over there, tell your friends, retweet, spread the good word. We always appreciate that. Another great crowd here tonight on the program, so we're very grateful for that. Silky, anything else to get out there before we say goodnight?
I'll be at the NRG Arena for Ring of Honor on the 26th.
26th.
Or 25th. And then I'll be in San Antonio the next day.
Now, you will not be performing.
No, I'm not performing.
On the Ring of Honor. But if you're in the house, go find the benchmark.
Yeah.
Because he'll be there.
But if you're in there, come find me. We'll chat it up, have a couple drinks. It'll be a fun time. And then the 23rd, I'll be back. Falls Count Anywhere match with T-Ray at DZW.
Domination Zone Wrestling. That's at DZ Wrestling on Twitter, or DZW Inc. on Facebook if you want information on that. So, for the benchmark, Silky Baines.
Yo.
Chris Bezak, we thank you so much for being with us here tonight. Shout out to everybody on Periscope, over on the YouTubes, listen on the podcast. We love you guys. We'll see you Monday night, following Monday Night Raw, right here on the Speez and the Benchmark Show. Good night, everybody.